warrior's mindset is about conditioning the mind, body, and spirit. It takes practice, commitment, vision, goal setting, determination, sharp focus, respect, and discipline. Once you learn it, you can apply it to all aspects of your life. The warrior's mindset prepares you for the largest competition ever, the competition against self.
Melvin Williams was a man of many lives. To some, he was Little Melvin, a name that carried weight on Baltimore streets, tied to the heroin trade and the myth of untouchability. To others, he was a survivor of decades behind bars, a student of martial arts and philosophy who turned his energy toward discipline and reflection. His story helped inspire The Wire, a show about the dysfunctional institutions and systems that try to define us, and the people who fight to rise above them. Neither hero nor villain, Melvin was something more complicated, a man who lived the extremes of power, loss, transformation, and redemption. In this episode of the Warrior Mindset Podcast, Willie the Bam Johnson sits down with Melvin Williams to hear his story and explore the many faces of this complicated man, not to judge, but to understand the lessons of a life lived at the extremes.
Mr. Melvin, how are you, sir?
Great.
We want to get a brief introduction. Can you tell the world a little bit about yourself, sir?
Well, now that I've graduated out of hell, I am delighted to try to share all of the things that I've learned with young folks that look like me. And I'm not removing that or reserving that from young folks that look like somebody else. But the mere fact that I have spent 26 and a half years in the federal penitentiaries all around the planet and witnessed at least some 200 murders. And I've been blessed to have degrees in 4 specific arts: Taekwondo, Goju, Shotokan, and Kung Fu, and 3.5 years of samurai with a particular instructor. I want to be able to give all of the things that I've learned to young people who are desperately in need of it. Some of my discipline is that I've never had a beer, cigarette, aspirin, a joint, cup of coffee, a glass of eggnog. I've never tasted meat. And I eat once a day, and I awaken every morning at 4:30. I don't care what time I lay down. I awaken at 4:30. And those are the kind of things that I'd like to encourage the other guy to do by being the message that you send. Currently, I teach, would you believe, I teach law. Constitutional and criminal law that I learned while I was being attacked by a government that doesn't lose. So that's what I want to share as practically as I can to young people, that if you know more about the law, there's a high likelihood that you might try to bend it, but you'll realize that you can't get away with breaking it.
I mean, you're saying so much in your life. And in the world of martial arts, we have so many people that's teaching people how to kill. They teach these deadly arts where you can pay $2,000 and get a kit and you can become the ultimate fighter, and they guarantee that you're going to be able to stop. In my mind, you're going to be able to stop anybody that comes up in the hood that thinks that they know how to fight. It's not a racial thing, but that's basically what I get when I see it, because most criminals are either dumb, stupid, and they really don't know nothing. I mean, what does a stereotype like that, I mean, how does that affect you when...
He's a rogue. He's a rogue, and it's so many nowadays and so many young folk that no longer respect the sacredness of the art. The art was taught, as you know, from perspectives of the old folks for self-defense. And before the group that I was blessed to be in the presence of learned the art, we had to spend almost 6 months learning how to get our body and mind in shape before we ever learned how to begin to throw a punch. And only then were we taught the different things in progression. Like you saw the picture Kung Fu. He was the grasshopper. He learned a first-degree move when he was a first-degree mind person. He learned second-degree moves as he became more involved with the discipline. When he finally learned how to kill somebody, he had acquired all the skills to know that it only takes 7 pounds of pressure on any particular area of the body to cause murder or to cause mayhem or to break or to kill. That's what I think is the right thing to do. But you're right. There's guys all around the planet that teach these concepts out of a book, and it's all commercial. He's selling it. He wants to get his bills paid.
And what's the consequence of violence? I mean, everybody want to promote violence, but from your viewpoint and your philosophy, what's the real consequence of violence? I don't think most of these guys know this.
Fidel, one of the blessings that I've learned of this photographic memory that I have is that everything I read, I retain. While I was confined, I started reading the Bible. I won't go into the story as to why, but there's so many stories of relativity. And as I read it, I became more convinced that there's a God. And in the book of Galatians, the 6th chapter and the 7th verse, it states, "Be not deceived, this God will not be mocked. For what you reap, you'll sow." And in the book of Matthew, the 12th chapter and the 36th verse, it states, "For every idle word that you utter, you'll be held accountable for in the day of judgment. For by your word you'll be justified, or by your word you'll be condemned." I don't think anybody is going to get away like we did when we were consumed as drug dealers and we were fascinated with the $100 bill. I think ultimately where you stay, that's where you lay.
And a lot of people, we talk about violence, we talk about, because even from a martial arts standpoint, we talk about, well, I'm going to show you how to break this person up. I'm going to show you how to choke this person up. I'm going to show you how to kill this person. But damn, they forgot the possible incarceration. Ain't nobody showing anybody how to prepare for the possibility to go behind those prison walls. What is the consequences of ending up behind those prison walls?
You refresh me, and I've spent long enough in federal penitentiaries that if I had done this when I first went in, I'd be able to fly. And everything that you encounter in a federal penitentiary is ugly and devastating. And you run into all different kinds of people, as ornery, as brilliant as anybody you could name, but they got a kind of mentality that exists in the penitentiary that is separate and aside from every place that I have ever been. It's like a balance. Everything balances off. If you call another man, not male, if you call another man a rat, gay, or anything out of his name, trust and believe one of y'all gonna die. Maybe not that week, maybe not that year, but because usually both of you have got the kind of sentences that probably are never gonna get out of there, he watches and waits until the day that he got you at your weakest possible opportune moment. And there he comes with only one thing in mind: I'm going to kill this guy. So I say to everybody that I come in contact with, it's nothing more priceless than this. And you got to be the message that you send, because if you disrespect another person in the places where I've grown up, again, one of y'all gonna die.
And that's just so awesome, because I know even in the world of martial arts, and I guess that's the whole purpose of this, you see so many people demanding that you respect them, or so many leaders demanding that you respect them, but yet you ain't giving up. They not giving the other person respect. For some reason, society is it's like it's a one-sided thing. And I guess when you find yourself, you realize that you're going to be the example of respect. But you got kids that's like, excuse me for my language, him, he ain't respecting me, so I ain't going to respect him. I mean, what can we do? Because, I mean, your wisdom and your experience in life, what could we tell or suggest to someone to represent what you talk about, respect?
Well, from the street and from a confinement standpoint, I guess I'm around with no scars and bullet holes for a whole host of reasons. God first, because for some reason, I believe that he's allowed me to go through this hell so that I can stop some folks from going and I can show the other ones how to get out. Because hell is where I've been for a considerable period of time. Again, I've witnessed 200 murders up close. A third of them, at least, I think I could have stopped. But I was the same thing that most of these kids are. I was angry. Until you learn how to control and manage your anger, you are going to self-destruct. You don't have to have nobody else to destroy you. You're going to self-destruct. So again, it came a time when I had learned anger management only because I woke up one morning in a penitentiary called Terre Haute, the gladiator school of the federal system, and the anger was gone. I was no longer angry. And as I turned around and remembered that I had been in Atlanta for 5 years, 2 months, 11 days, 8 hours, and 15 minutes from 74 to 79, that I had been in Lewisburg, and I had been through all of these different other penitentiaries. And I spun around and I tried to remember all of the people that I had been incarcerated with. And the complexion kept coming up black. I said, this is not a war against drugs or crime. This is a subliminal war against black folks. And it's my responsibility as an elder to teach these people their history, the law, and the Constitution that they don't fit in. When you hear the statement, we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain to establish this Constitution to the United States of America. That came from a group of white males, no harm or no prejudice intended, that owned slaves. There came a statement from one of them named Patrick Henry, who said, give me liberty or give me death. At the time, he owned 68 slaves. Now, 70 years later, in a case where a slave had gone across the state line and came back and was captured, a guy by the name of Sanford captured him. He filed a case to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court Justice Robert Taney, the same judge that inaugurated Abraham Lincoln, ruled this. Mr. Scott, you are not a citizen. You are a foreigner. You came here in chains. You have no rights that whites are bound to respect. And so forth and so on. You are 3/5 of a human being. I maintain this day that there is no Jewish child on the planet that last week didn't learn something about the Holocaust and how dreadful Adolf Hitler was to his predecessors. We don't teach each other enough about our history, and many more than 6 million of us died coming to this part of the world. And I contend that slavery, as egregious as it was, wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to us as a people. The worst thing that ever happened to us was the law that they put in place while we were slaves. Law that continued to evolve today that allows police to jump out and tell you, you need to get out of your own neighborhood. Keep moving, keep walking. But we are not together. That's what I want to make blacks understand, that we didn't do it like y'all doing it. We didn't have drive-bys and we didn't identify with red, blue, and green. When a guy was found dead back in the day, he had powder burns all over him, which meant that they shot him up close, specifically and directly. He probably was a roach and needed to die. But that drive-by and can hit Melvina, my daughter, or Melody, my daughter, or the old lady, Miss Agnes, that makes all the pies and sews all of the dresses. See, we didn't tolerate that, and it shouldn't be tolerated today.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Want to tell you about something that's dear to my heart. My book, The Warrior's Mindset Daily Devotions. Pick up your copy by hitting the link below. Remember, if your principles are negotiable, you don't have principles. Be the warrior from the inside out.
And that's what's so awesome. I guess what you're saying, even for me to be right here, when I learned who I was and learned my history, it allowed me to become a person of multicultural where I could identify with other people. And I guess that's what you're saying. When our kids learn how to really understand who they are, and I guess with this level of combat, once we understand the violence and the strength that we possess from an urban environment, it's our duty to share it with the world that we're not stupid, we're not ignorant. We are men who just trying to get away from the violence and hopefully make it safer for other people that come in those communities and get out in a safe manner. I mean,
That's I received that, and more than anything else, when you do not know that your strength comes in numbers, you're a martial artist, I am, this brother's a martial artist. When you believe that the greatest thing that you can do is you've missed something. The mere fact that there is a thread, you take one thread and it has a certain amount of strength. You take another and you wrap it around it, and you just keep wrapping threads, and you form a rope that is impregnable and it's invincible. When you realize just how precious Joe is, and I play chess, and I don't know if you do, and I don't play other people. I play a computer so that I don't offend him, because chess is such a mind-boggling game. And I play Kasparov. I've only drawed with him once. I've never won, but I've drawed with him once. But chess taught me one thing. You got to assume that your opponent is brilliant. Otherwise, you're going to make too many mistakes. You got to see the world through his eyes to allow yourself to be open and fair. You got to wait like Rambo. It could be costly, but you got to at least give him the opportunity to draw first blood. Once you clear that that's what is his mindset, then you go for him.
And that brings us to that next question I was going to ask you. What is that mutual balance between the respect of a rehabilitated predator and those in authority? Because I think some people, maybe the kid on the street feeling like, yo, I ain't going to respect him. But once you understand that you have been rehabilitated, you trying to find a way to show him respect. And hopefully, I guess what you're saying right there, if he's naturally at that level of growth and self-love, he's going to give you respect back. It's not a verbal thing, it's an emotional thing. What is the balance point?
As I perceive it, you got to be the message that you send. And you young people now grow bigger, wiser. You got all kinds of wireless gadgets that put you in touch with all parts of the world. You see so much more than we ever did. I told a group of teachers the other day, when you go outside the building and smoke that cigarette, they're watching you. It says that you disrespect yourself. And so he's not likely to even hear what you're talking about mathematics. You got to be the message that you send. So all day around the planet that I move about, I try to move in a manner, not exaggerating, but at such a point where little Joe that's 14, when he calls me Mr. Melvin, I say, don't call me that. Call me Black or call me Melvin, and I'm going to call you Joe, because both of us are grown. I don't want you to think because you're 14, you're going to get away with making mistakes. Men don't make mistakes. They, like Nike, they make it happen. You're going to be held accountable for every error that you make, and it might cost you your life. The greatest discomfort that has ever come to men from another man has not come from what he did. It's come from what he said. All the world's worst wars came from words. No strikes. So when you call another man out of his name, and you holler across the street, dog, and the word that I have grown to hate, and I hear it constantly from two guys now that are moving all about the planet. I can't wait to be in their presence at some point in time. One of them's name's Bill Cosby, and the other one's a professor. I don't know what his name is, but they hate the word nigger. But I learned how to use it listening to Bill Cosby's friends, Moms Mabley, Slappy White, Richard Pryor. We the only nationality on the planet that get rich off of abusing self. And so now that you got all the money on earth, you're going to go around the planet telling people not to say it. You're a hypocrite. I can't wait to be in your presence, Mr. Cosby, so that I can say that to you, so that when you reach out, I can tell you, hey, man, a fight. We were around the same age. I break everything on you.
Yes, sir. That's and I guess that brings us to that. Somebody might see this and say, man, they ain't talking about combat. I thought he was going to teach me how to kill. But a real man, from what I'm getting, a man in the world of martial arts, I guess I told Master Mitchell one time, you hold June Rhee up here. Well, in this world, we hold you up there. And I know you don't accept that crown, but we look at you. I mean, you're a legend. You provide us with the wisdom and the experience to not go out there and have to hurt and kill someone. So if somebody look at this safe saying, I'm waiting for you to show me the technique, he done missed the message. He missed the message, sir.
The message is that the martial arts, I started one day way back a long time ago, the same day as Raleigh Hawkins. Everybody on the planet knows Raleigh Hawkins. I don't know if Raleigh is 11th down or whatever, but whatever he is, they didn't give him one thing too many. He was all of it then, and he is more now. We had a class of about 200, and when we graduated, it was only 3 of us still there. I joined because I was boxing around the Police Boys Club and the YMCA. And it came a time one day when I reached for the ping pong paddle because I wasn't really next in line, but another guy that I saw with locks around his hair and a little curly, looked timid, he was really next, but we reached for the paddle at the same time. He got to the paddle first, and so I stuck my left hand out at him, and it missed. And I turned it under. I shot it and turned it under, cute, and then looked the other way like I normally hit it, and it missed. And then I shot my right back at him, and it missed. And then it dawned on me that I'm looking up from the ground. And I'm mystified as to how this is happening, but I'm still selling him death. Oh, yeah, I'm over here. And so the man comes out of the room and says, I want to tell you something, Melvin. You one of the better boxers that they got around here. His father teaches the Green Beret something called karate. That was way back. That was 800 years ago. And so I said, don't mean nothing to me. I'm trying to get with him. He said, do you realize where I'm talking to you from? I said, yeah, on the ground, I slipped. He said, yeah, on his foot. You slipped on his foot. And then, do you recognize that knot on your chin? So I said, yeah, I hit the floor. He said, yeah, but you hit his hand first. I said, really? He said, every now and then you got to not judge a book by its cover. He said, this kid is lethal. And so I said, well, what did he do? He said, that was karate that he used on you. They started a class around the YMCA 6 months later. I was the first guy on the list. A martial artist and a boxer have contests. It's just a matter of time before they drag the boxer out the ring. It's impossible for him having 2 things that he uses to represent himself to defend against a guy that's got 9. Both hands, elbows, both knees, feet, and the head. It's virtually impossible. And then you send things at him that he ain't used to seeing. Yeah, he's used to seeing a jab brought out and turned, and he ain't used to seeing that same hand, the jab that comes out, and then before you get it back, the thumb that goes right behind it that digs into the eye, or the fist that turns over and hits down on the nose bone, and the elbow that comes up underneath. He ain't used to seeing that. And then when he steps forward with that leg, you step into that knee and break that knee socket because he's leaning forward when he shouldn't have been pushing forward. It's impossible. But those are the kind of things that come from staying around the dojo from day after day after day and knowing in your heart, I can't ever try this on somebody because it works. That's the difference in teaching a first-degree student and the guy that's getting ready to get his black belt. There are things that he's just not going to do because he knows the damage that he's going to create. And I think that is what's priceless because that's what keeps me grounded. I've been in places where guys have not known me. It's hard to not know me in Baltimore, but I've been in places from time to time where guys have gotten in front of the line just like you do in the penitentiary. guys step in front of the line and say, I don't care. I done worked and I don't care. And so you wait until 4 o'clock after the 4 o'clock count and you catch him coming outside and you go to him and say, but my case is different. I got to tell him of my martial arts experience. You got in front of me earlier today and I was offended by it. And even though I'm offended, I hate the fact that I got to tell you that I've spent all my life waiting and preparing for a guy like you. And I got to tell you that I know a little bit more about defense than you do. But, oh, man, I wish you would take that right hand at me. I seen you in the yard the other day hitting the bag, and it sounded like you hit the bag so hard you was trying to escape. I'd love to have a body shot like that. You can't wait to say that to him. And then just your enlightening him sends him back around the planet to investigate. And the next time you see him, he's, he was trying to trick me. I wasn't trying to trick you. I was just trying to make you aware that every book is not self-explanatory. And every tough guy doesn't wear it on his chest. And we need to spend more time preserving all of those things that we are, rather than breaking another man down. I don't ever want to be seen to get an inch taller by standing on my brother. I'm not going to do that.
So, and no disrespect, that brings us to a point. So you got this guy, he's on TV fighting. He's fighting in UFC. And you say that, but he said, I'll take you out. I know the most deadly arts. I will grapple you and lock you and break you up on the concrete. Because they know that's the new fad. What is it? MMA, where, people, I can't imagine that you're going to be rolling around with somebody on the concrete trying to, put them in a mount position and armbar them, and especially not in the hood that I grew up in.
I'm one of those guys, and you're a martial artist. The brother here is a martial artist. I'm not sure, but okay, the brother's not. But right now, if I asked you, if you only had one strike against the most powerful animal on the planet in representing yourself, where would you take that strike at? Think before you answer. Where would you take that strike?
It was the nose. Take your heel arm right through his nose.
Come around. Goes to 100.
Yes, sir.
So, take your right hand strike at me. I'm going to put that thumb in his eye. I'm going to dig behind the socket, and I'm going to pull it out. And I'm going to shoot this other one back to his nose bone. I'm going to turn to his groin. When he comes down, I'm going to bring him up. If he's a crocodile, if he's a water buffalo, take that out. That's what I've been taught. That's what I want to do to anybody. I don't want to hit him on no nose or nothing else. But there is no defense for it. So while I see all of these guys talking about wallowing and wrestling and tumbling on the ground, I couldn't be involved in that kind of tactic, because once he strikes at me and I'm inside of that zone, I'm going to either pull both eyes out or one eye out. And once I dislodge it from that cord that holds it, I'm going to get everything that I want from him. When he gets to the hospital and they ask him where he hurt, he's not going to be able to answer, because I'm going to have something pulled out from so many different parts of his body. So, so those guys that's frauding, he has never been in a world where it's death if you lose. It's commercial, it's television. But when it's all or nothing at all, you get a whole different respect from that guy. And if he's listening, trust and believe it's different when you're playing for all the martyrs.
So, in closing, you didn't just say it, the value. How valuable is it? And we say it to him again. How valuable is the urban experience? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because you got to go through those 3 stages to find who you are. And I think most dojos want to only give you the good, not the bad, not the ugly.
And he don't send you back out in the street. The dojo is the commercial aspect of it. He teaches you how to be respectful, humble, and we need to have the streets safe enough where the old lady can go to the market after 8 o'clock. It's been a long time since we've been there. But there are a handful of us old timers left on the planet that don't put the gi on from day to day. But if invited, I will. But I don't know how to just be a martial artist. I've reached that stage of my life where the few strikes that I got and the energy that I got to go to all of it. I got to go inside. Since the ribs come this way, I can't hit a rib like this because I'm not trying to break it. If I'm in the area of the rib, I'm going in this way because I want to go through the ribs, and I want to be fortunate enough to reach and get a hold of a lung and pull that back out with me. Or a heart. I ain't got no wasted time. If he's the bad guy and I'm trying to teach him a lesson, I'm only going to teach him this lesson once. I want him to, whenever he sees another old man, I want him to think, man, this could be like the last one. If, for whatever reason, they can get this lung back in place. And that's my message to him. Be real mindful of those persons in the neighborhood that you see. Like me, I don't go around the corners. I believe in the shortest process to the house is a straight line. So if the alley is the straightest way, I go through the alley to go home. There are people that run around the neighborhood that claim that they are city officials and that they the man. And whenever they come through the hood, they got all the windows up, they black, and they breathing hard until they get out of the neighborhood. So I couldn't live with myself if I wasn't the guy that when the kids in the neighborhood, when I see him doing wrong, I say, joke, take that pistol home. Oh, but take the pistol home before I take it. There's nobody in this neighborhood but people that look like you. Why would you want to kill somebody that look like... Okay, so you decided to wear a blues bandana and his is red. I maintain that anybody that's a gang member is just that, a gang fool, which is why all of the experiences that you've learned and this brother has taught, and the few people that I've had an opportunity to work out with and to teach a thing or two, after you spend all of your life in the martial art, you're not going to be a gang member. Why? Because you're a gang all by yourself.
Thank you, sir. First.